Hey, Charles, welcome back, my friend. How are you?
All right, how's everything going over there?
Everything's cold in Chicago. I don't know how it is in Kentucky, but I do know that the track's supposed to be fast on the main track and firm on the turf, so should be good for racing at Keeneland.
Yeah, it's really nice out here. It's about 44 degrees right now.
That's really nice, eh?
Well, I mean, the sun's out and it's brisk out there, and the horse loves that, when there's a little coolness in the air.
Yes. Speaking of which, that's interesting you bring that up because last night on our Horse Center show, we had on trainer Rachel Cathan. Was a fantastic show if you haven't had a chance to see this young and upcoming trainer and all that she had to say. You certainly want to make sure you do that. Very engaging. And she was talking about how the horses, when it's a little bit cooler, so there's a little bit of cold snap coming down to Oklahoma, where she's currently running horses at Remington Park. She's talking about how they get a little friskier, a little happier, and it's a little bit more, in tune with what they're doing when it's a little cooler out.
Yeah, they actually almost all animals do.
Yeah, my dog, I was saying on the show last night how my dog, she loves it when it's cool out. It's the funniest thing when it snows. She stands at the back door and just barks because she wants to go outside and eat the snow. Yeah. I have to make snowballs, and then I throw them up in the air. And even though they bury themselves in the snow, she'll dig that snowball out. It's hilarious.
Mine just loves to run around and roll in it.
Yeah, mine will use her nose like this to make her own snowball so she can eat it. It is. They really do seem to care for the cold weather. Not us humans. We're exactly the opposite. So we come from a different part of it. We might share 95% of the DNA with our dogs and monkeys, but man, are we different. No question about that. Speaking of which, tonight, we're going to do something a little bit different too on Horse Center. You're going to make sure you want to check this one out at 8 o'clock. The best way to make sure you don't miss anything is to hit the subscribe button while you're here on YouTube. Then hit that bell so you're notified automatically. But we're going to have on a special guest named James St. Vincent. He's putting together a horse racing documentary called On the Brink. It's definitely one that it's called Racing on the Brink, excuse me. It's definitely one you're not going to want to miss because I think it's going to be a show that'll be of interest to any and all folks who are interested in kind of what goes on the backside, which is something you're going to want to check out. All right, Charles, yesterday we did a little bit of Horseshoe Indianapolis. We got back on the pick 4 train finally after a little bit of a cold streak, but it didn't really pay a whole lot for the hot dog pick 4. Hopefully today at Keeneland, we have a little bit more luck. As we mentioned, the track is fast, the turf is firm. But as you're going through this card today, Charles, do you feel like it might be some chalky horses today?
Yeah, 100%. I thought this was going to be pretty much a chalk day.
I'm hoping you're not right. I'm hoping I'm not right. I tried not to pick a whole lot of chalk horses, so hopefully that I didn't do that. All right, let's get started with our day today, Charles. Race 1 at Keeneland is a 1 1/8. It is a claiming race, maiden claiming race. Funny because yesterday we did a ton of maiden claimers over there at Horseshoe Indianapolis, but it's not going to be the case today. So far at Keeneland, they've only run 2 races at a 1 1/8. Both were won by early speed, so really not a whole lot of data there to make a whole lot of sense out of. But let's take a look at our way to the winner's circle pace worksheet for race number 1. We do have a scratch right out the box, so the 2 horses not in this race. You'll notice that there are arrows here. So a down arrow indicates a horse that's moving down in class. A sideways arrow is a horse that's running at the same class. And of course, that means an up arrow is a horse that's moving up in class, which I feel are important in this maiden races. Charles, now you've been in the trainer business for a while, of owned horses. Is moving up and down in class in maiden more important than, say, in claiming or an allowance, that sort of stuff?
Oh, by far. When you drop in a maiden, especially if you go from a straight maiden, allowance down to a maiden claimer, that is tremendous difference.
It's the biggest drop in horse racing I've heard, right?
That's right. That's 100% correct.
So if you look here, the 11 horse gets a box on it, meaning it's an early pace horse that's likely to be on the lead. Same thing with the 3 horse here. Just a quick recap of what these letters mean. E are horses that probably need the lead to get to the winner's circle. EP horses can either be on the lead or within 2 lengths of the lead. Pressure horses don't usually take the lead, but are within a couple of lengths, within no more than 2 lengths from the leader. Pressure closer horses, they can be really close to the leader or really far from the leader. Very versatile horses. And then finally, closers. Those are usually ones that after the first quarter mile marker are at least 2 lengths behind the front runner. Charles, it is hump day. So get us started with your hump day picks. Hold on one second. All right. Let me bring up the right screen here because I'm not on the right screen, and I am now. So go ahead and fire away with your picks for race number 1.
Okay, well, this race I do believe is probably the closest one to being wide open, in my opinion, because they're going a longer distance. They're maidens that, they've never gone that far, most of them. And you got speed in here, you got closers in here. So who's going to really show up is the next question. I'm going to take the speed horse in here, the 4, as my number 1 pick. He just got claimed. He drops in class. Trainer gets 14%, but he gets 26% when he's first off the claim. Tyler gets on, so I think we're going to see something from this horse. The favorite, which is the 10, probably has all rights being the favorite with all his past, but drops in class. Todd gets 28% when he goes maiden to maiden claiming. And
there's that biggest drop in racing that we just talked about.
Yep. Hot jockey and trainer combo in the last 14 days. So, I mean, he has all rights, I guess, to be the favorite in this race. The 3 is my 3rd pick. This horse has speed. Trainer gets 18% from maiden to maiden claiming. Might like the distance. Looks like he kind of wants a little bit more distance. So. And then my final pick will be the 9. Has some speed, returns to the dirt, and also drops in class.
Well, I'm going to come right out of the box today swinging. So when that first race comes, that 10-horse Order of Merit is going to be my best bet of the day. Does have that top last race speed figure, is making that MSW to MCL drop. And on top of that, the horse looks to be sharp with a bullet workout on October the 11th. So not all that long ago. Number 3, Aristocrats, something I will never be. Did show some better early pace numbers and fractions for the first half mile of its last race. A lot of times that translates into improvement for this race as well. And then number 4, Hair to Greatness. This one drops in class. Does have some of the best early pace and late pace combinations, so the horse should be involved from beginning to end. And then finally, number 8 for me, Go Virtual. That's kind of what's going on today. From what I read, though, Mark Zuckerberg's metaverse not going as well as he had hoped. So maybe people like real life better than fake life, which I think is probably true. But anyway, yeah. Go Virtual was much improved in the first half mile last time out. And a really nice workout in between races. So we'll see if that horse continues to move up the ladder in this race today. Race 2, Charles, at Keeneland today is 7 furlongs. I promise you they're not all maiden claimings, but this one is too. This one is for 20 grand. It is a 7 furlong race. And at 7 furlongs on that Keeneland track so far in this 2022 fall meet, tactical outside to inside speed has been the way to win. Our way to the winner's circle worksheet for race number 2 looks like this. We have a 7-horse scratched out in this race. As you can see, it's a pretty fair race because you have a lot of horses in here that like to be forwardly placed, only one of which, the 9-horse, that needs the lead. It too, dropping in class on the top here. 3-horse is an EP horse that also has the top early pace and late pace. That's why it catches that 0-1 over here. These pressure horses are going to be right on the early pace horses as well. We do get our first instance today of a left arrow horse. The 6-horse is one that ordinarily likes to close and does have a plus advantage at 4 furlongs. Well, whether he can hold that through or not, this horse is definitely an interesting one in this spot. Charles, what do you say for race number 2?
All right. I've said it one other time before, and a horse finished 3rd. Nick Zito's horse, the 9. He is.
Yeah, I had him ranked as my top horse too, and then I looked at Mr. Zito, and
you're
0 for 66, man.
I mean, he's an 0 for, but
0 for a year. I mean, 0 for 2022.
I do not understand. He's way too good of a trainer for that. Way too good. The horse has got speed. He cuts back in distance. He drops in class. Corey jumps back on for Zito. All I can say is,
That O's going to go. That's what you're
the O's
saying.
going to go. I finally believe it. Today is the day.
So let me ask you a question. You're Nick Zito. You're a Hall of Famer. You're 0 for 66 in 2022. You win a maiden claiming 20,000 for your first W in 2022. What kind of party? What kind of celebration is he going to have, you think?
Uh, Probably just a beer one, just a beer celebration, not a champagne one. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure he's already done plenty of drinking already, because since he's an offer, I don't know if he drinks, but
Yeah,
I'm just
he may or
saying.
may not drink, but what you're saying for sure, he's probably whatever he does for his vice. If it's chocolate, Hershey's is out of stock near where he lives.
Exactly. I feel sorry for the guy. He's definitely a way better trainer than his numbers show. The 8 horse is my second pick in this race. Fits well in here. He cuts back. Hernandez knows her very well. Okay, Hernandez has been on her and has 4/3 out of 7 tries. And so the horse has been knocking on the door a little bit. So horse should be ready. My third pick is the 5. Drops, got tactical speed. Uh, Brendan Walsh gets 33% when he does the double down, 2 times classes drop. And Santana takes over, which I think that's a plus. Santana's a good hustling rider. And then my final pick is the 1. Drops in class, adds blinkers. Trainer gets 14% usually on the year, but he jumps up to 23% when adding the blinkers. And Tyler gets on.
Who's been really hot down there in Keeneland too,
Yep.
Tyler. All right, so my race number 2 is the first of our 2 box sit-ups. 4 horses, $1 exacta box, 50-cent trifecta box, 10-cent superfecta box. I did have that 9-horse Pout as my top choice in there, but that 0 for 66, I can't bet on an 0 for. Today might be the day where chocolate is safe wherever he lives, or beer is safe. But I guess 0 for 66. I just can't do that. Anyway, number 8, Sweet Truffles, did tie for the top race speed figure last time out. And when you look internally, the horses in pace numbers at the 2 furlong marker, the half-mile marker, and the end of the race all improved off the previous start. So improved from start to finish. I like horses that improve across the board. Number 1, Tyrona, other to tie for the top last race speed figure, is making that biggest drop in horse racing. The maiden special weight to maiden claiming dropper. This one also has room to improve in its second start following a layoff. Number 9, Pout. There's that Nick Zito horse. Down in class, showed a lot of early pace, gets first Lasix. I love that combination, pace and Lasix. But Nick Zito, we talked about over 66. I think the first, if Nick was 1 for 66, I would have had him as my top choice. Number 3, Open Says Me, is an early pace horse, EP horse that can ride co-pilot or pilot. Has a lot more closers in this race than speed horses. So I think he's going to be involved early all the way to the end, and does own the top combination of early pace and late pace. So a horse that should make its presence felt from the time the gates open to the time they hit the wire. Race 3, Charles, is next on the list. It is a 5.5 furlong, and I promised you they weren't all maiden claiming. This one is a claiming $32,000 race for a purse of $61,000 at 5.5 furlongs. 5.5 furlong speed bias looks like outside speed has been the way that you want to win at 5.5 furlongs. Charles, this is your long shot. But before we get to the long shot, I almost forgot. It seems like race 3 is where I always forget. Our way to the winner's circle pace sheet. This race, I think, is one that is wide open. The 8 is scratched, but if you look down here in the notes, the 3, the 5, the 4, the 6, 2, and 1 all have similar early pace numbers, and they're ranked from first to worst, but they're all within like a point or 2 of each other. And then on the way home in the stretch, the 9, the 1, the 8, the 3, and the 7 all have similar late pace numbers. When you add it up, looks like the 3 has the top combination of early pace and late pace, followed by the 2, then the 9. But I think this one's going to be really competitive. How do you see it playing out?
Very competitive. I think This whole race is setting it up for one horse only,
Ooh,
and that will be the 7.
that's your long shot.
That's my long shot of the day. I think there's plenty of speed in here to just set this horse up. The outside is doing well, believe it or not, for those, the outside for sprints. On turf, stalkers usually win these type of races at Keeneland, that is.
Mhm.
And so I just think with the odds, it's got tactical speed, it closes well. Trainer gets 19%. Jockey knows this mare very well. My second pick is the 3. This horse has speed, but he also has tactical speed. He could close pretty good too. If he wants to, he could sit in the mid pack. So the trainer gets 19% with first time claimers, and he's back on dirt, and Santana takes over. And then my third pick is the 9, another one that kind of has tactical speed that could close with it. Michael Maker claimed her last time out, and Tyler gets on. And then my final pick is the 5, drops in class. Trainer gets 16%, but on the second after a claim, he gets 42%. So has a little speed and back on dirt today.
All right. So for me in race number 3, I think I showed race number 4 just now. I don't know what I was doing. Anyway, race number 3, I have the 5 horse in here as my top choice. That is Sister Annie. Sister Annie does have the top last race. Speed figure is dropping in class. Second off the claim for trainer Eddie Kennelly, who has won 8 of 19 races in the second start after a claim. That's a pretty high number, just a tad under 50%. Number 2, Tipsy Gal. Strong fractions in that last race is the lone pressure horse in a field of horses that have some speed and have some horses behind it. So should get a good trip all the way around the track. And if it improves at all in the second start off, the layoff should benefit from that. Number 6, Music City Star at Keeneland, 2 times out, but a second in there. But it won its only race at the distance. And at times, when you look at the 6 horse, it does have some superior early pace figures. And then I think I showed the wrong race. No, I was just a little confused in my head. Right one. Number 7, your long shot is my 4th pick in here. Oh, boy. Dulcimer name was a difficult name to pronounce and also a difficult call for me over the 3 horse. But I'm going to take the Kentucky horse, the one that's been running at Churchill, Turfway Park, Ellis Park, over the horse that's been running at Canterbury Downs. I know the morning line favors the 3 horse. I'm just going to go with it. I think there's more quality in terms of the competition that they faced. Could be wrong there. What's going on today, Barry? 2 questions for you. Bet $500 or $1K on a horse? And Charles, can trainers bet on the horses?
Okay, well, question number 1 is yes, I have. And question number 2 is yes, they can. But they cannot, if they're being interviewed or they're talking to any media whatsoever that's going to go out on the web or anything, they cannot say that they like another horse and they're betting on another horse, except they cannot.
That's interesting. Well, that would be great news to know in the background, wouldn't it?
Yeah. They just
you're
cannot
at the track.
say
Hey, you
that.
betting your horse today? Nah, dude, I'm betting that one over there.
Yeah, they just can't. I mean, and I believe in that too. That's not right. Why are you putting a horse in a race if you're not going to bet on it? I mean, as a trainer, I kind of always put bets on my horses, sometimes small bets when I thought it was a wide open race. But I always believed in my horse. I knew they were ready. I wouldn't put them in there if they weren't ready, at least.
Mm-hmm. I have a couple of times I have not bet $1,000 on any horse to win. I've had maybe not $1,000, but I've had pretty hefty pick 3s and pick 4s that have gotten into that sort of number, pick 6s, where you've put a lot more money at stake than you really ever want to. But I have put a few times more than $500 on a horse to win. Only problem is a lot of times with these horses, depending upon where you're at, you got to do that in races where there's bigger money pools.
Yes.
Otherwise, you're just going to absolutely work against yourself. So that's one of the things we talked about with Sean the other night. Is making sure when you make your bets, you know which money pools to be in. So that's something I always look at before I get started. Is if I'm going to bet the exacta, trifecta, superfecta, pick 3, pick 4, I want to see which one of those bets, if that's what I'm considering, has the most money in the pool. And then I go ahead. Exacta is always going to have more than trifecta most of the time. Sometimes superfecta and trifecta can be even. Obviously, superfecta is harder to hit. But a lot of times when I'm looking at a trifecta, I'm going to compare that to the pick 3 and pick 4 pools and see which one has more money in it. And then I'll decide which angle of attack I want to take. Because I've had a case where I've basically potted it, where I had a couple long shots, only winning ticket, but there's only like $700 in the pool. So what good does it do you, right?
Well, I do a couple of different things, very similar. I look at the pools, but I also like, if I'm betting a pick 3 or pick 4, and I look at all those races, and if I believe the favorite has at least a 70% chance or better to win any of those races, if they could win half of those races, you got to make your ticket super small, because it's not worth it. If you play a $100 pick 4 and 3 of the favorites were dead on, even if you get a medium shot in the last leg, it's still only going to pay maybe 60, $70.
Yeah, you're not going to come home clean on that at all. I wholeheartedly agree with you. And that's, when we do our hot dog in prime rib pick 4s, which we'll get to in just a moment, I always follow your guys' leads in terms of I'll let you pick which races we're going to do. But when I'm betting personally like that, that's exactly what I do. I hot dog almost every pick 4 anyway. But what I do is I go through all of my picks first and then kind of go through the horses I like and then go back and reconstruct my ticket. I don't go from race to race to race. I see which horses I like. I go through them all, circle the ones I like, and then go back and make my ticket afterwards. All right. Anyway, we'll get to our hot dog pick 4s and so forth. We're also going to get to Charles' best bet in race number 4, which is a 6 furlong, claiming $20,000 for a purse of $43,000. 6 furlongs, much like 5.5 furlongs we saw just a moment ago. There's outside speed bias at Keeneland. I don't know why I keep wanting to call it Churchill Downs. I don't know why. Kentucky, I guess. Kentucky's on my mind. Race number 4 has a scratch here with the 3 horse. He out. The 4 and the 5 horses are both left arrow horses, pressure horses that, according to the way I calculate early pace, should be on the lead instead of chasing the lead. So likely your pilots and your co-pilots. You see here the lone closer in a race that could get a little bit quick is the 1 horse. Does have the second most late pace. So if all these guys go too fast chasing one another, the 1 horse and the 10, which has also some strong late pace, should be horses that contend late. Finally, the 5 horse does also have a plus early pace and late pace advantage, meaning if you combine the scores together, 5 more points than the next closest one, which equals about a length on the track. When it comes to the end, Charles, who's going to be your best bet?
Well,
oh, by the way, is this your $50 to win bet?
This is my $50 win bet. Is the 9. I like this horse a lot. He drops in class. The trainer gets 23%, but 33% when he puts him in claiming. Cuts back in distance. I think he's got pretty good tactical speed. He could hang right there about 4th or so and pick up the pace right at the end when he needs to. I think there's plenty of speed for him to at least just track him and hit him at the end. My second pick will be the 10. Back on dirt today. The horse drops back into claiming tag, basically where he belongs. This is where he was picked up for when he got claimed about 4 races so back. Jockey knows him pretty well, so the horse should have a shot here at this track. The 1 horse is my third pick. Ran good versus very similar horses. Finished 3rd at that time out. I think it's the right distance for this horse. Should be closing, like you said. So look for him to at least pick up some of the minor pieces, I believe. And then the 5 horse has speed. I think he's going to hang on for some of the minor pieces. Trainer gets 20% when they're 90 days or more off. So this horse got a pretty solid workout tab and fits well with these horses.
Mm-hmm. The 9 horse is my top choice too. Zap Motion drops in the first time claiming for trainer Jonathan Thomas, though I was told not to trust people with 2 first names growing up. He does win first time claiming at 27%, and overall he wins claiming races at 33%. So probably the right spot for this horse. I would agree with you. Number 5, Steely Danza. Left arrow horse has run very well fresh after spending a little bit of time in the barn like today. So he's coming off the bench, should be ready to run. Loves second place, however. That's why I have him second. He's run 12 times, and half of those times he's finished second. So 6, the quick math. One time he did manage to finish first, hasn't finished third yet. So second seems like the right spot for this horse. Likes to hang at the end. Number 4, Oro de Moro. Another left arrow horse that's dropping multiple classes. The trainer has won 8 of 17 under that angle and has some really good workouts in between races. So I think you're going to see a lot of improvement out of Oro de Moro today. You're going to Moro out of Moro. And then finally, number 6, Midas Well Run. Tough call for me over your 10 horse, that second choice there. But I'm going to go at the horse that's going to be more forwardly placed. That also did run the top last race speed figure last time out. You know, one of the things I noticed too, a lot of times when I'm 50-50 between horses, Charles, I prefer to take I prefer not to take the closer. I prefer to take the horse that does have a little bit more speed advantage early out of the gates, because when I've seen this so many times, and maybe you can help me out with this, but it just seems to me from watching races, if I'm a closer, I don't want to be on the rail, because the other horses can box you in. I've seen that so many times where you can clearly see a horse has the most horse at the end of a race. It's just got nowhere to go, right? He can't force his way through. Mm-hmm. So if I were a closer, I would definitely be in that second group of horses, not on the rail. And it also seems to me that if you're a speed horse, right, you don't want to go 4 or 5 wide through that first turn. If they want to run 108 in 6 furlongs and are claiming 5,000 at Parks, God bless him. But if he wins, go test him. You know what I'm saying? Because you know that horse ain't running that fast. But in any case, when I'm 50-50 between 2 horses, I tend to lean towards the horse that's going to be more forwardly placed, because there's likely to experience less in-race problems. And it seems like every time I take the closer too, I end up regretting that. So,
well, I think it's because more of the if you're just going by percentages, odds of winning a race, when you're up closer to the front, and especially a shorter race of all, the closer you are to the front, the better chance you have than coming from behind. So I believe in that, but I also believe, number one, a jockey has to have the horse to win, but sometimes it does take very good jockeys to figure it out. Hey, I got a serious closer here. I got the rail. I'm going to break, get him out and move him out slowly onto the outside, or at least mid-pack, and make my move at the final turn. Mm-hmm. If they just sit on that rail and think they're going to have the rail's going to open, good luck.
Yeah, I've seen so many good horses get boxed in late and they just got nowhere to go. And you know they're the best horse. You can see the horse tugging, but you can see the jockey telling him, we got nowhere to go. So we got to stay here. All right, speaking of places to go, later on today, baseball should be back. So in the link, there's a link in the description below here on Facebook and YouTube for our good friend, picks from the Professor Sides, really good at baseball. Parlays are doing all right, a minor loss in the ROI. So you're going to want to make sure you watch his entire show to get an individual baseball play and then pick the ones you like. Also likes college football. Make sure you check that out. Again, when you're watching the show over there on YouTube, please go into the comments section. Let them know we sent you. Then, of course, on Friday nights, myself, Sean, and Jared do NFL picks. And right now, and they say it's the toughest sport in all to bet, and that's football, professional football. Through the first third of the year, I'm actually profitable. So you might want to check out that show if you bet football. That's Friday nights, but of course, it's on our YouTube channel. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Race number 5, Charles, for back to the horse racing. 5.5 furlongs on the turf. Now we get some good races. $111,000 allowance race. The turf is firm, as we've mentioned. 5.5 furlongs so far on the turf. They've only had a handful of races. But so far, as you mentioned on the dirt, despite the fact it's only a 5 furlong race, it has favored outside posts over inside posts. Our way to the winner's circle sheet looks like this. We got a scratch here too early on, the 5 horse, the 8 horse, the 10 horse, and the 4 horse all squared off, meaning they're likely to be the ones that compete for the lead. And if you look here on the bottom, it says here all but the 8, 6, and 10. So 2 of the faster horses have similar late pace numbers. I don't know how much late pace really comes into play in a 5.5 furlong turf race. Maybe it's the difference between second and third. We'll find out in this race. As far as the rest is concerned, when you put early pace and late pace together, it looks to me like the 8, the 3, and the 4 have that best combination. But all this up front here, it's going to be fast, Charles. So when they hit the wire, who's going to be the fastest?
That would be the 8. I believe that's going to be the fastest. If he doesn't take the lead, he'll sit right there. This horse drops. He cuts back in distance. He didn't like Kentucky Downs, but then how many horses do? Ward gets 25%, and he gets a hot jock in the last 7 days. So I think this horse could be right there. Probably the best closer is the 7. One last time out, trainer gets 22%. And like I said, he has a really good closing kick.
Don't you feel like, though, if they all have similar closing kicks, because that's the way it kind of looks out to me here, that except for the couple of the speed horses, that if they're all similar at the end, wouldn't the race probably be more likely won in the beginning?
You would think that, but it just depends on how much they go head and head, who gets too jazzed up and burns out. I mean, it really does I still believe the 8 which is one of the speed horses, is going to win the race. I'm saying that the 7, which is a true closer, he's not one of the speed horses.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to pick up the pieces enough to finish second, I think, in this race. So, yeah, overall, I think the speed horses are going to hang in there a little bit. Like the 4 I got as my third pick. Horses got tactical speed. Walsh gets 19% when the horses got 90-plus days, got solid workouts. So you got a very fresh horse there. So, usually they run their eyeballs out, when they first time out. And then the 3 horse is my final pick in the race. Definitely has speed. One last time out at Kentucky Downs, though. So has won 3 times in a row. And I'm going to go. That's why I'm picking him 4th, because the Kentucky Downs is the jinx, or whatever you want to call it. It's not good for them.
The curse of Kentucky.
Yeah, they don't do well the next time out, no matter where they race.
Yes, horses struggle when they go to Europe, when they first come back to the U.S., or they go to the Middle East and run in like Dubai or Saudi Arabia. Seems like when they go to our European version track at Kentucky Downs, they struggle afterwards too. At least that was the stat you had for us last week.
Did you know that also? I just read last night that if they run in the Breeders' Cup and their last race they won at Kentucky Downs, they're 0 for 26.
So toss them out of if any Kentucky Down horses, there you get it. I mean, you can't get that kind of stuff anywhere else, folks. That's why you come here. So if you like what you just learned from Charles, you like what you're hearing so far, do us a big favor. Hit that thumbs up on YouTube, the like button on Facebook. Help us on YouTube today. 20 likes. We'd appreciate that. It helps us move up the algorithm. Way more folks can follow us. It's a real easy way to support the show. For me, I like American Starlet, my 8 horse, as the top choice too. Is dropping in class. Does have plenty of early pace, as you mentioned. And if you combine it with late pace in a race where a lot of horses have some late pace, does have one of the top combinations. Number 4, Only Kidding. I hope that's not how I feel after this race is over. But has run very well off the sidelines. Again, like today, it's been a very consistent performer. If you look at the speed numbers and the fractions and all across the board, the horse gives a really honest effort every single race. I love that. On a fast track, which we're going to get today, 6 times, finished in the money in 5 of them with a win, a couple of seconds, and a couple of thirds. Number 7, that closer, Kyra Comet, as you mentioned, coming off that Kentucky Downs win. Should be closing late, but there's the Charles stat. Run away from Kentucky Down winners. Number 3 is another Kentucky Down winner, but won 3 in a row in total. Top last race speed figure, likely to improve in the 3rd race off the bench. But again, that very strong, difficult turf over there at Kentucky Downs seems to take away some of the durability of these horses in the next start or two. Charles, this next race is your box it up. Give me your 4 numbers real quick, and then I'll switch over to the box it up screen.
Okay, 4, 6. Wait, excuse me. Go back.
Hmm.
8, 6, 4, 5.
8, 6, 45. That's Charles.
Yep.
Box it up again. The 4 horses that we put together in a exacta, trifecta, and superfecta box. Charles, why did you pick this race?
Well, I think this race, all these horses that I chose, my top 4 picks are all going to be pretty decent odds, which I believe the 8 is the lowest odds, which is 7-2 morning line. So the 8 horse is my first pick. Ran well last time out, finished second. Trainer gets 18%, but when the second time out on a route, he gets a big 50%. Fits well here. Like I said, it's kind of a little bit of a wide open race. These horses are you got speed, you got closers, you got tactical. The 6 horse has some speed, bet well last time out, only time out, which was he was a third. So the horse has some talent. I think he's going to be, I think the 8 can catch him at the end, but the 6 is going to be definitely out there winging. The 4 horse is my third pick. Steve Asmussen and Santana combo. That's a great combo. Drops in class, and he's trying dirt. So I think you're going to see a little bit more out of this horse than this last time he ran. And then the 5 horse, Cox gets 24%, but 31% when he goes to a route, when he takes him to a route. This horse is bred very, very well, especially for this. The horse has got tactical speed, so look for that horse to do a little something, I believe.
All right, so that's Charles box it up for race number 6. I forgot to do a couple things here, Charles. First of all, race 6 at 1 mile and a 16th. It is tactical speed, but unlike the sprints, looks like you want to be more inside place because 1 through 7 outperform 8 and out. So you want to be fast, but you want to be inside. And then on top of that, for race number 6, that's where we are now. You see here we had a lot of scratches in this race. The 11 horse was the only one that scratched that was supposed to run. All the others are also eligibles, alternative entries, however you look at it. But you mentioned the 6 horse, Charles. It is the only E horse, so one that can get to the front in the entire race. If you look at its ability here, Charles, it does have a plus combination of early speed and late speed. 10 points better than the next closest horse. This is a maiden special weight $100,000 race. That's why you see all these arrows in here, these sideways arrows. They all have run for some level of maiden special weight, usually at a pretty high level. All these NC horses over here have never been close in the few races that they've run. The 1 horse is an interesting one to me because it does have, in the limited races that it's put out, a plus late pace advantage, meaning at least 5 points higher than the next closest horse. So if it's within a length with about a 16th to go, can make up all of that ground. Now, as for my picks in this race, I pressed the wrong button right there, Charles. It's a problem when you have 500 things open on your screen, right?
That's right.
Usually I manage it all right, but sometimes it's very difficult. That 6 horse with that advantage, too much advantage, I think, for the rest of the field here. Just missed in its debut. It's going to be on gas from go to photo and going to take advantage of that double plus advantage with early pace and late pace. Number 5, Wadsworth, is my second choice. Did finish behind the top pick and my upcoming third pick last time out. It was part of an entry, so it was the betting favorite. But what I like about this horse since then is run similar fractions at that mile as it did at 7 furlongs in the previous race, but it's put together a bullet workout since. So I don't know which one of those 2 horses in the entry was the reason for the favorite, or maybe both were just close to being good enough to be the favorite, so the combination made him the favorite. But I think you're going to see a better race out of the 5 today. And if there's anyone that's going to run down that 6, I think it's going to be the 5. I do like the 8 horse in here as well. Did finish second by a neck behind the 6. Did finish in front of the 5. That's really 2 very nice maintenance workouts between races as well. So I think a 6, 5, and 8. Any of those 3, I think, has a real good shot of winning this one. And then finally, number 3 is my final choice. This is a first-time entrant. If you look in the workout tab, Charles, you'll see the very last workout is a bullet workout. If you've watched the show enough, you know I referenced that Barry Meadows book, The Skeptical Handicapper. If you haven't bought it yet, please go to Amazon. Please buy it as a horse player. We don't get any royalties or anything from it, but you will learn a ton. One of the things you'll learn in there is that a bullet and go for maidens wins at over 15%. Any angle that wins over 15%, I call those alpha angles. It's absolutely an alpha angle and one that you want to add to your handicapping toolkit. I kind of got ahead of myself a little bit, Charles. I forgot to talk about our prime rib pick 4, which starts in race number 2. I love the way you structure your tickets because you kind of have that all or nothing approach within the ticket. You got the all part in race number 2, and then the all or nothing part in race number 4 with that 9 horse.
Well, yeah, I mean, basically, when I handicap and I really like a horse that is my $50 win bet or more, sometimes I have 2 of them in a day, or sometimes 3. But I'm believing in that horse. I'm betting a win bet. I'm betting a win ticket. I'm telling you right now. So if I'm doing that, why not play it the way you believe it's going to happen?
So you're going all journey on this one. I can't stop believing in that 9.
That's right.
I gotta like that. For me, I'm not so confident in any single horse here. I feel like race 2, I agree with you, is an open race. So hoping to catch a price in there, but I'd like to try to beat some of these. And I think a lot, race 3 and 4, I do think that those 3 horses a little bit better than the rest of the pack. So I'm kind of hoping that I can catch a price and beat favorites in those legs. And then on the end, again, like you, we had the same 4 horses, just a little bit different order in terms of how we put them together. You put yours in order. I put mine in the way I picked them, just in case there's a scratch or something, so you know who's ranked higher, that sort of thing. All right, so now is our hot dog pick. Our prime rib pick 4 is coming up in race number 2. Now we're going to move on to race number 7, second of the last races. This is my long shot of the day coming up. Race number 7, Charles, is a 6.5 furlongs allowance, $140,000 race. So far at 6.5 furlongs, if we take a look at the track bias, so far it's been outside and in, like as you mentioned, on these dirt sprints, and even on the turf sprints. Outside is doing better than the inside. Doesn't look like you have to be blazing fast, but you better have some tactical speed. If we take a look at let's look at our pace worksheet for race number 7, which I think is impacted by a couple scratches here with the 4 horse and the 3 horse, both of which were going to be part of the early speed in this race. They're not there now. So that means the 5 and the 6 are going to have a little less competition. The 6 has a box on it, so it's probably going to be your pace setter for an EP horse with the 5 chasing. 7 should be right there in the mix. And if you look at this 2 horse, it's probably going to be smiling nicely as they're running, especially if all these guys go too fast. So he does have the top late pace, and we'll be able to run by all of them if they decide to go drag racing out of the gates. Is that the way you see that race playing out, a drag race, or how do you see it?
Yeah, actually, I really do. I see a drag race between 2 horses. So I'm going to take the horse that what we call sitting in the catbird seat. I think the 7's going to be sitting third pretty much all the way around and could take over at the top of the stretch or close to it. Horse drops. Walsh gets 19% with 90-plus days rest. So this is a fresh horse. Tactical speed here. Fits with these much better than he has been with others. Solid work tab. So I kind of like that horse a lot. The 6 horse is one of the speed horses I believe will hang around for a piece of the pie. You got Steve and Santana combo again. Steve gets 18% with 90-plus days. Another fresh horse. Of course, Steve always puts really nice workouts in his horses every 7 or 8 days. So they're very well balanced there. Now, the final pieces of the race, I believe, is going to be all closers. The 1 ran second last time out. Definitely is a closer. Got a good kick at the end. Fits well here. And then my final pick is the 2. Basically, this horse is looking for the hat trick. Has closing speed, but he can't be a little bit more tactical than the 1. But trainer gets 15% overall. But when he puts him in allowance races, he gets 42%.
Big hitter.
So, yeah.
I'm going to start off with that 6 horse, Charles. I feel like the scratches really impact this horse positively. Shot a lot. Could be the pace setter, as I mentioned, with all these horses that also had some speed heading to the sidelines today. Becomes the top early pace, late pace horse in the field without the 3. So going to be on the front, the one everybody's got to catch, and it's to the outside. So fits the track bias wholeheartedly. Number 2, Hear Me Song. This one is the lone PC horse. I think it's going to take advantage of everybody that goes a little bit too fast out. Been at Keeneland 2 times with a win and a second, but that second, Charles, was by that much. So not that far away from being undefeated in 2 at the track there. And then also like the fact that horse has some very strong workouts between races there. So bullet workout. Good indication of a horse that's ready to come to the track and perform. Number 7, Prevalence. Your top choice. This one hasn't run since May. I think it ran on Kentucky Derby Day in a grade 1 at Churchill Downs, but hasn't run since then. Has a bullet workout coming back to the track. So kind of that bullet and go. It's not as applicable for horses that have experience as it is for maidens. The one thing, though, if you rewind in the calendar a little bit and you look to see the last time Prevalence had such a long break, similar time off, came back to run the next one. I think it finished a well-beaten 5th by like 5.5 lengths or something like that. The next time after that, it came out and won. So I think you might see Prevalence. I think, as our guest last night was saying, Rachel, that sometimes trainers put a horse in a race because they need to give it race experience. I think that might be this race. And I wouldn't be so shocked if next time out Prevalence is running and back in the graded level, and this is just that tune-up race. Number 1, South Bend, is the lone closer. I think it's going to pick off a lot of those horses that went too fast up front, but I don't know that it's going to have enough to end up in the winner's circle in there. But the resume also says that the horse is likely to regress in its second start off, a layoff. It's another reason why I feel like it's probably more of a gimmick player than it is a win bet type player. So I just pretty much guaranteed the one horse is going to win, right?
Pretty much right there.
Race number 8 is a 5.5 furlong race on the turf course, which is firm. Allowance $110,000, 5.5 furlongs on the turf. As we've seen in these sprints, only 5 races, but so far, like all the other shorter distances, be it on dirt, be it on grass, the outside horses have performed a little bit better than the inside horses. There is an absolute outside to inside bias. I had to squeeze race 8 down here. So the very, very corner, fortunately, the one horse that you can't see in there, that 11 horse, which was going to be part of the speed, he's to the sidelines. The 8 horse is out, the 5 horse is out. So once again, I feel like the scratches are going to benefit some horses with early wheels. The 9 horse and the 1 horse are going to have less competition. They're the ones with the early pace figures that suggest they're going to be able to dictate terms when the gates open. Not only that, but the 1 horse has a plus advantage when you put together the early pace and late pace figures. So it's going to be involved from the beginning to the end. This 7 horse in that pressure spot with the top late pace figures, if these guys all go too fast, the jockey's going to be smiling big. So pay attention to the look on his face as they're coming out of the turn. So if he's smiling, you know they went too fast up front. Charles, how are you going to close the show today?
I think this is going to be a merry-go-round race. I think the 9's going to take the lead, and then the 1 is going to sit right behind him all the way around. The 9 won last time out, has speed. This trainer gets 21% when there's 46 plus days off. Jonathan Wong, which is the trainer, he's having a very good year. If you look back all the other years that he's been training, and he's a very good trainer from the West Coast.
Yeah, I think he his teeth at Golden Gate, then went down to Southern California, and now spreading his barn across the spreading his seed across the fruited plain.
Yeah, he's been everywhere this year, and he's doing very well. So he's a very good trainer. People don't know him, so I trust him enough that this horse is 100% ready to go. And like I said, it's going to be a merry-go-round. The 1 horse is going to sit right on the 9's rear end and probably still stay there at the end of the race. This horse drops. Was a beaten favorite last 2 times out. But he ran second both times out, so not like he threw in a monkey wrench in there. Cox gets 23% when the horse is 46 days or more off, so a fresh horse here too. Then I'm going to start looking at some closers or at least some late pace horses, which is the three as my next pick. Ran third last time at Kentucky Downs. Cut back in distance today, and he drops in class. So should be able to pick up the piece of the pie there. And then my final pick is going to be the 7. Fits well here, has tactical speed, should be closing okay with that. Finished second last time out. So
I'm going to start off with that one horse in my picks here for the last leg of the late daily double. It's number 1, Shannon. Shannon missed by a head as a beaten favorite in the last out, as you mentioned, burning up some money for favorites the last couple of races, but it hasn't really missed by much. Trainer Brad Cox rebounds at 31%. And like you said, I think this one could be the pilot or the co-pilot with the 9, but has a plus early pace, late pace combination. And sometimes horses that make that travel west to east, I think it's a little bit more difficult for those horses biorhythmically than it is for horses that go from east to west. Sometimes they need one. So I think that might be the case with number 9, Opening Buzz. Did run the top last race speed figure at Del Mar last time out. Does have a couple of nice Keeneland works, so it looks like it's taken well to the track there. So maybe that move east won't be as difficult as it sometimes is. 7 horse, as I mentioned, in the way to the winner's worksheet, winner's circles worksheet, should really get an ideal trip. It's got plenty of pace in front of it, probably can outkick the horses that are going to be behind it. So it's just going to be kind of, I think, a patient ride, making sure it runs its race, and then try to pounce at the very end. The thing about this horse, though, it does close, but just seems to be, it gives like the backers a lot of hope because he's making that late move, making it, and everyone's out there screaming and yelling, come on, come on, come on. You know that guy or girl at the OTB, the one making all that noise.
And the paper hitting their side.
Or the the 7 is that horse that always falls short in the old damn it's afterwards. Number 6 is the final one for me. Can't believe it. There's really no other way to put it. You can believe it that last race was terrible. So the trainer's going to put this horse on turf for the first time. Has some really good workouts between races. So the workouts suggest to me that we can go ahead and toss that last race and see how that horse does on the first time around on turf. Did run well on all weather, so it gives me a sense that maybe it will like the turf racing. It's also our hot dog pick for us. So we kind of put them upside down today. Race number 5, Charles is going to go 4 horses, and then after that, 2 by 2 by 2 by 2. So he's got a 4 horse by Noah ticket. I'm going to go 3 by 2 by 3 by 2. I do feel like that last leg for me, as I went through all of them, I pretty much settled on the 1 and 9 in race number 8 as a leg with 2 horses. The only question for me, I hear some really terrible echo. The only question for me was race number 6, if I was going to single that 6 or not. But so I went 3 by 2 by 3 for $18. Charles, one more time, our hot dog pick 4, our prime rib pick 4s was come up in race number 2. Charles starting off with all, singling up that 9. I'm going to go a little bit deeper across the board on every single race. Our box it ups, Charles, in race number 2 for me, with the 8, the 1, the 9, the 3. Charles with race number 6, 8, 6, 4, and 5. Here are our full picks for Keeneland again today, in case you missed it. We will have a recap of our ideas in our notes over at horseracingtoday.net. So if you missed anything, along with the pace worksheet, it will be on Horse Racing Today. So you can check that out as well. Use it as your reference point if you'd like. I have the best bet in race number 1 to kick off the card with race number 10. That race right now looks like it's about 8 minutes to post, 6 minutes to post, 5 minutes to post. The 10 horse right now is your favorite at 8 to 5. So not too bad for a best bet. And you're not getting like 1 to 5 numbers like that. Your best bet's race number 4, that 9. I also like the 9 in race number 4. Your long shot, lucky number 7 in race number 3. Mine is number 6 in race number 7. And then if you just kind of look at our picks today, Charles, we're certainly hoping that the outside horses do well because minus your 4 in race 1 and my 1 in race 8, we're outside across the board.
Yeah, we are.
Absolutely. So if you're going to bet, I know a lot of folks today on Wednesdays, hump day apparently is Delaware Park Day in Turkey. So if you're going to bet Delaware Park today, if you go to Guaranteed Tip Sheet, there's a link in the description below. Plenty of links over at horseracingtoday.net as well. You'll see Delaware Park, Fast track today, only 5 scratches in race number 1. The 6-horse Speak Unity is our first pick, and it is the free track of the day. So please head on over there. Also be aware that we're already working on our wagering guide for the Breeders' Cup. You're not going to want to miss that. There's going to be a ton of detailed information, the horses that we think have the best chance to cash on that showcase of some of the best horses in the world. All right, Charles, tomorrow we'll be back for Belmont at Aqueduct at the same time. Any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No, everything should be going good today. There's no clouds in the sky here in Kentucky, so everything should be true to form today.
Fantastic. Well, as always, 3 thoughts to part with on the day. Number 1, trust your intuition. I can't tell you how many times that inner voice tells me do something, and if I don't listen to it, I wish I did, right? And when I do listen to it, usually works out pretty well. Also, make sure today that you sharpen your saw. From Stephen Covey's book, The 7 Effective Habits of Highly Effective People, one of the things he said is to make sure you sharpen your saw. What that means is whatever you do, study a little bit more about what you try to get better handicapper. If you're a plumber, try to learn a little bit more about your trade. If you're a librarian, learn about, what was it called? The Dewey Decimal Point System or something like that?
Oh, yeah. Wasn't that something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah, we don't know about that anymore, do we?
No, we do not.
All right. So whether you know about the Dewey Decimal Point System or not, so you're trying to find a book in your local library, you're working today hard on the farm, whatever it is that you're doing today, Charles, we hope that it only ends up in one place. And that can only be Keeneland Gonna Place, the 4 Gonna Place in race number 1. All right. Hopefully. So you're going to do a little place betting, a little place pool. Hopefully that 4-horse, though, well, if it ends up in the winner's circle, that's all right. So no matter what you do today, we hope, Charles, it can only end up in one place before we meet up with you again tomorrow for Belmont at Aqueduct, and that is
the winner's circle.
Absolutely. Have a fantastic hump day. Make sure you check out Sean and I tonight at 8 p.m. in Horse Center. Till then, have a fantastic day.
Right, see ya.